Oh, we are live apparently, but I don't see anything on Facebook. Aha, which is why I typically panic. May I ask you to log into Facebook and just see if you find anything that comes up?
Yeah.
Because I know that you've liked House of Q, yes?
Mm-hmm. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, we are live.
Yay! You can see it because I can't.
I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay. Well, see, I just love technology. Not only once, but twice now. You've done that to me in a matter of what, 5 minutes, Elyse? Oh, that's so awesome. So if you're just joining us, folks, yes, I'm BBQ Brian from the House of Q, and to my right, and on your screen, which I don't know if that's right or left, I'm gonna surrender of guessing which way is what, is Elyse Chatterton. Elyse is from Edmonton. Well, you'll soon hear in her voice. There's probably more to that story of where Elyse is from, but she currently resides in Edmonton, and she is one of the members of Team Canada on the World Butcher Challenge. You can see by the insignias all over her apron or bib, which is fantastic. And I love that swag. Whoever crafted that for you, Elyse, is awesome. So
Yeah,
glad you get to wear that.
yeah, it's a wonderful guy called Mitch, a company called Me Chef, and he has made these for us as well. And then he's also made us the one that we'll actually wear in the competition. We won't actually wear it until the competition. So these are kind of our pre-competition jackets, and then we have ones maybe with a few more labels on when we get to the competition.
The fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Aha, aha. So, Elyse, you and I have met once or twice, but lo and behold, I've been trying to push as much as I can and share as much as I can about the World Butcher Challenge because I'm doing my best to be your number one fan, your biggest cheerleader, whatever you want to call it, or just be the big mouth about it because I think it's exciting. And with my 17 plus years of doing competitive barbecue, I can relate to this. But people who are in the barbecue or the grilling community or the cooking community, we know and realize and value a really good butcher. And so knowing all the butchers across the country, that's our mainstay for House of Q is where our products are as butcher shops. And so knowing when you walk into a store, like for you at Popowich or at Corey's and Acme or Taryn or Harrington's or on and on and on across the country, it's like a great big spotlight goes off because they look fantastic. Your cases are full of just wonderful things that you want to go, I want all of it. I want all of it to come home with me. And it's only an indication or a clue of what you can do. So, Elyse, I think that's the first thing that I want to celebrate with you is that we've got, in my opinion, some of the best butchers around to represent Team Canada.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Maybe that's blowing my own trumpet. I'm not sure. But yeah, like it's massive because this is the first time Canada's entered a team. It's really important because it showcases butchers, like we joke saying that chefs had the stage for a long time. They were the cool ones and they were the ones competing in competitions and they're the tattoo clad cool guys on Instagram, and it's our turn now. Like when I started being a butcher many years ago, if you'd have told me that I would have been cool again, I would have thought that you were crazy. But no, we've kind of found our moment, and the World Butcher Challenge obviously is 13 teams from around the world bringing the best butchers to compete together. And we're showcasing the Canadian butcher scene, and hopefully that's going to inspire a whole new generation of butchers to get involved in this industry because it is coming back. It is more people are buying from butcher shops. More people care about where their meat comes from, and yeah, we're a big part of that. So if we can inspire lots of people to get involved, and particularly lots of women to get involved, then that is the goal.
There's so many things to talk about. Oh my gosh, we could probably go on for days, but I'm going to do my best to try and focus. The very first thing that I wanted to share is this is the first time that Team Canada has gone, and I think that's completely awesome. But can you share just a quick thumbnail of the history of this? I know we've got the break with COVID and everything else that goes on in our world, but give me a thumbnail. Where did this start, and what can you share that way, and how Team Canada came to be in this realm?
So Peter Barder, who is of J&G Meats in
Hamilton.
Ontario, yes, he's the guy who said, we're going to do this. We're going to get this together. We're going to enter a team. Canada's got to be in this competition. So he approached Ontario Independent Meat Processing, I think is the name of it. And they helped everything get going. And then he basically put a call out looking for members to join the team. So you had to send in your CV, then you were selected and you had to do like photo challenges, you had to do video challenges, you had to do different breaks, different cuts, different things. And then you had to kind of select what position you thought that you would be good at on the team. So we have breakers, we have trimmers, and we have finishers.
Two each.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's kind of how most teams set it up. Some there's no rules that says that's what you have to do, but we were just following the kind of standard protocol for now because obviously we've never done this before. So in Ontario, they do have a competition annually called Ontario's Finest Butcher. So they have a competition every single year to pick, the competition butcher, because it is very different than normal butchering. It is against a time limit. It is about, what you do with it, how fancy you make it look, how clean those bones are, all those different things, how level your strings are, if your knots are in a line. So yeah, it's that it they already had this culture there, and most other provinces don't. We don't here in Alberta and BC. I don't think you guys have a competition for barbecue. So yeah, someone else actually saw it. So someone I was working with at the time trained at Olds, and I think they kind of advertised it through there that, sign up for the Team Canada. And the guy I worked with was like, you should enter this. And I was like, well, maybe. And I was like, no, I really haven't got the time to do all this stuff. And I was like, well, why not? So yeah, I did. And at the time, actually, I wasn't actually working at a butcher shop. So I had to borrow like meat from people. I had to go back to where I used to work. And I was like, can I please cut this? And he's like, yes, you can, but you're not putting any green stuff anywhere near it, and blah, 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 and all this. And so yeah, I had to sort of I traded some favors for half a lamb so that I could finish the lamb portion of the breaking. And so yeah, I did it all. And then yeah, and also Corey, I sent a message to Corey at Acme saying,
yeah,
I'm getting in this. You should get in this too. And then yeah, we got the email to say that we'd made the team. So should have been 2020, but as we know, nothing good happened in 2020. So yeah, this has been 4 years in the making.
So cool. So cool. Wow. So there's a team of 7, but there's 6 of you that are actually active with a reserve or a somebody you can switch in and out. So it's 6 players in motion for each of the 13 different teams from around the globe, correct?
Yeah.
And let me do a thumbnail here. So if you're a novice to the butchery world, you have a carcass or an animal that you're going to break down. And the very first step is the breakers, who are going to break down into the primals. And then the primals are essentially, think of the big chunks of meat off of the carcass. And the second part, which will be breaking down into subprimals or trimming and stripping off the bones and things that Elyse was talking about. And then there will be the finishers. And the finishers are where you get into what I'll use to add in the terminology of the value added. So for example, you've got all of the different components, and you're going to grind it to make into sausage. You're going to break these down into cordon bleus. It's something very simple as a task. But some of the value-added things are like eye-opening. When I'm sure we could probably talk for half an hour just talking about the value-added things, Elyse.
Well,
but
that's
one
the
of the
whole,
things.
Yeah, that's the whole.
Yeah, sorry. How did I do for a thumbnail here?
No, you did good. The only difference is it's actually our breakers that make our sausages, because once they've finished breaking, they then have time to make the sausages. Whereas basically it runs down the line. So you're right, the breakers break it, take it to the trimmers, they take it down to nearly finished, and then Taryn and me and the finishers, we stuff it, we roll it, we glaze it, we trim it up, we make it look fancy. And then it's our breakers who actually make our burgers and our sausages.
There it is.
But yeah.
And is it three animals? Like there's beef, pork,
Lamb and
is there
chicken.
lamb?
Yeah, side of beef, a side of pork, a lamb, and 5 chickens.
In 3.5 hours.
3 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, good gravy.
It's a lot.
You probably want those extra 15 minutes, I would say.
You do. And you've got to make sure that everything's on its platter with its label, trimmed, finished, done, hands off. We also have to build the display in that time frame as well. So we have our tables set up, but we have to build the items that go onto our display. So any backdrops, any props, anything like that, all has to be done within that time frame. We also can't chop any vegetables in advance. If you can buy it in a store, you can bring it in. So I don't know, like pre-chopped onions. If you buy a bag of pre-chopped onions, then you can bring that into the competition. But one of the main components of this year's event is sustainability, and the impact that the waste that we have in our industry affects what we do. So the actual stadium where we're competing won awards for being the first carbon neutral stadium. So it's all about sustainability, recycling, making sure that, we don't have too much waste, making sure we use every part of the animal. So they weigh our leftover trim. So not necessarily bones, like that's just, you can't really do a lot about that. That's just how it is. But they weigh our trim. So you get a points added on if you've got less than 2 kilograms of trim. If you have 5 kilograms of trim, you get 5 points. If you have more than 20 kilograms of trim, you get 0 points.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to offer, if you're a good butcher community, you're not wasting too much anyway.
Correct. But if you bring in a bag of pre-chopped red onions and then you only use 2 teaspoons, they will mark you down on wasting even vegetables.
Wow.
Yeah. So, we've had to carefully sort of look at what we actually use every time we practice to make sure that we have nowhere where we have a massive amount of something left in any one category. We can't be wasteful anywhere.
So the display, Elyse, is I'm visualizing, because every butcher has a deli case. They call it a deli case, and that's all where you see all the rows and rows and rows of, here's the steaks, here's that steak, here's this cut, here's that cut. Now we're on to pork. Okay, on and on, a deli case. Are you filling a case, or are you doing some other type of display?
So we get tables. We get a certain amount of table space, and that's kind of what they give us, and then the rest is up to us. So I can't tell you too much about our display, but it has to, you have a theme. So we've had to come up with a theme, and
Right.
Our display and our items in our display has to match with our theme.
Fascinating.
So yeah,
that's really fascinating.
So it's been quite a learning curve for us, and probably for the other teams as well, because they changed a lot of the rules this year. For the last competition happening in a week's time. So previously they didn't judge you for what you didn't put on the table. So you could cut the 2 center cut strips and then throw the rest under the table and it wouldn't be a problem. So this year it's going to be an incredibly different competition for every single team.
Yeah, interesting. 2019 they had the last competition, correct?
Yeah, in Ireland.
How many teams were there?
I'm not actually sure how many there were. There was a few more teams added for this competition. Unfortunately, we lost, I think, 2 of them, or maybe 3 have dropped out. They, like costs, a lot of butcher shops closed. A lot of countries could not travel at all to get together, so they really, really struggled. So I know we've lost, I think, Mexico, Greece, and there was one other team which I can't remember off the top of my head which one it is. But we have lost some teams, so we're at 13.
13, yeah. And I looked up the list before, and I was just going to try and rattle it off, but and I wanted to ask your input on this, because there was Portugal and Italy, Ireland, Wales, Britain, Germany, Canada, New Zealand, Australia. I'm sure I'm missing a few. Italy, did I say Italy?
Iceland.
Iceland, yes, of course. Yeah. And I wanted to know from your input of the preparation side of things, of I could visualize as a consumer going into a German butcher and what I might see there. And if I go into a Portuguese or an Italian butcher, I'm likely going to see something very different
Yep.
that's there. And I help me understand so that all 13 teams are on the same page.
So every country brings a judge. So you're judged by everybody else's country's judge. So the only one who won't judge us is the Canadian judge. So you're seeing, and then we have like a head judge who kind of oversees everything. And
Right.
the whole point of the competition is that, like they say, you know, everybody does it slightly different. When I moved to Canada, I had to relearn quite a lot of the stuff that I knew already, because while the animals are the same, the cuts are named differently, they're prepared differently, they're treated differently. So one of the elements on our display is we have, as well as having the name of what the item is, we have to provide cooking instructions as well. So in the past, again, this is a bit of a rule change, you could put whatever you wanted on your display. It didn't matter if it was cross-contaminated, it didn't matter if it was inedible. Like one team made a meat cake, one team made a meat chessboard with chocolate pieces. One team made a chicken salad, which was a raw chicken on iceberg lettuce. So this year, for the first time, it has to be cookable. It has to be sellable and it has to be cookable. And they will take into account each country's differences, each country's ways of doing things, but it has to be cookable. It has to be sellable.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I think so.
Yeah. You know, we said we're trying to, obviously we're trying to push the boundaries and we're trying to do things that we don't see very often, but every single one of us, the whole point of this was that every one of us would be proud to have this set as a butcher counter that we would sell to our customers. So that's 100% where we've gone with this. So, you know, there may be teams doing something that's like wild and out there, but it might not be cookable. And we've just said, we're not doing that. We are going, we'll be as Canadian as we can be, and we'll be true to what we know, which is the customer has to be able to take it home and cook it and eat it, and it has to be delicious.
So if there's 2 days, do all 13 teams, are you all doing your work at the same time, or is it broken out into groups?
No. So the Friday is the juniors and the apprentice competition. So we have two juniors with us. So we have Ronnie and we have Doug, and there are two juniors, and they will be competing in a separate competition on their own. So they compete as an individual. So we do have two, obviously. So they are kind of competing against each other, but still as Team Canada. They practice together with us. The team, every time we've practiced the last few times, they've been with us. They haven't been with us for the whole 4 years, but we've had at least 3 practices, I think, where they've done a full run through with us there with them, helping them. So that's a separate competition. And then on the Saturday, that's when we'll all start, and yet we all compete together. I think previous years they've done it in like 2 sections because the space wasn't big enough, but we're in the Golden One Center, which is obviously the basketball arena. So we're all in the middle of the stadium.
Fascinating, really cool. Over 2 days, and even with you got the minor leagues and you got the major leagues here. Even on the major leagues, you got 13 sides of beef, and you've got
13.
What happens to all this? What goes on?
They're going to donate it to local food banks.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah, so they're going to keep the temperature in the stadium as low as it'll go with all the air conditioners running, and then we'll prep it, we'll put it on the tables, and then it will get packed up and sent away. Because again, the theme is sustainability. You know, this is a competition where we're trying to show that we're not wasteful, and you know, the climate now is, you know, there is a message: eat less meat, which I think is wrong. It should be eat better meat, maybe not as often, but the best you can afford, so that we can produce the best animals and use every single part of it. No waste.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow. I know another question that I had was, No, it kind of relates to how do you prepare and plan. I don't want any secrets because I've heard that every one of the team members say that you've got some things up your sleeve and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get into that. But if you know, for example, the Germans make a pretty gosh darn good sausage, right? As a value added product. And how do you plan on do you just shoot for what you think is the best, or do you try and leverage up on what somebody else is really good at?
So it was a conversation we had when we first started, is because we'd never done this before. Like, how much do we pay attention to what other teams are doing?
Sure.
Do we snoop around on everyone's Instagrams? Well, we do that anyway. So that wasn't really anything more than we're doing anyway. But like, no, we said we're not interested. Well, we are interested in what other people are doing, but it has no effect on what we do. We just said we just need to stick to the theme that we've set and stay with it, and don't worry about what anybody else is doing, because we don't have any control over anything they're doing. So there's a butcher in the UK called Butcher Tyndale. And I'm sure if you follow me, you probably follow his account, and he makes very, very fancy things. And he makes these delicate little truffles and all these fancy things, and he paints things, and he puts delicate flowers on and all these things. And I watch his Instagram and I'm like, oh my goodness, this stuff's amazing. But then I sit there and I was like, I haven't got time to do any of those things, none of those things. And I know for a fact that in 3 hours and 15 minutes with that much protein, I'm not sure anybody has time to do that kind of faffing about. So we'll see. Some teams may have it set up differently, where certain team members do more than others because certain jobs are more time consuming than others. So it's about how you've balanced your team and who does what best. So yeah, we're not too worried about the German sausages.
Yeah,
We've got some good sausages coming, I promise you.
What do we know about Iceland, for crying out loud, on the butchers?
Not a lot, really. Not a lot at all. I don't know anything about like the meat that they have or no idea whatsoever. Like, the thing is, like, you had to pre-approve any equipment that you bring in on top of the equipment that the actual competition is providing. And I know the Germans are bringing some bowl cutters and things like that, because they are going to make some fancy sausages. We know that. Like, that's common knowledge. Because
you really shouldn't be surprised, right?
No,
the
not
German
at all.
team didn't do any sausages this year. What?
Well, as part of this competition, you get judged on your sausages as well. So there'll be a best pork sausage, a best lamb sausage, a best I don't think there's a best beef sausage. I'm not sure. There's categories as well. So they're kind of side awards. So you do get prizes for those on the side. So there'll be some bragging rights. And like best pork product, best beef product. There's lots of different kind of things within the main competition.
Elyse, I want to know what you're most looking forward to.
Do you know what? Meeting all the other butchers that I have been talking to, admiring, watching for years. Like I said, I've been in this industry a long time, way, way too long to, like, I've been a butcher for 27 years now, if you count all my training. So, we weren't cool back then. And there was no sort of place where you could post your photos. There was no Instagram and even when Instagram first started, there's no way I'd post a picture of meat on there for fear that, people would chase after me on social media. Whereas now we do have this community. We have the Butchers Live Lounge. We have all these different things where we talk to other butchers from around the world, and we're going to get to go see them like in person. And that's the thing I'm most looking forward to. And then, like, we practiced last week for the last time before we fly to the competition, and it was really good. And it just, things worked how we wanted them to work. Things kind of fell into place, and we left knowing that we'd done as much as we could do. So I was chatting to someone who worked with Olympic athletes in the past, and she said that the key is to not worry about the result, only to focus on the fact that you did everything you could to get to where you are, and that's all you need to do.
You know what? It's interesting you bring that up, because I started competitively cooking in 2005, and you're okay, and it's right, because it's right in front of your face, all these other teams that you're competing against. And that's the terminology that we hear, we reflect on, we focus on. And playing hockey as a kid, as a Canadian, you're thinking that, well, I got to go elbow them, or I got to get them on the boards, or I got to be more defensive with them and more offensive with them, and all these different things that go through your head when you think of competitive sport. And it took me 7, 8 more years to finally realize that I don't compete with anybody other than me. It's my cook plan, it's my recipes, it's my energy, and it's my error that I have to own to know that I've had either a good day or a not so good day. So
Yep.
exactly what you thought, and I think it's lovely to hear you comment and bring that up, Elyse, because it shares with me, and I hope that other people who are watching or listening that learn to know that you guys are in the right space, and I love that, and that's really 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 awesome.
And also, like, it's the same with us. Like, I'm heavily involved. I'm the vice chairman of Porkapalooza, which is the big barbecue,
Yeah, of
Kansas City
course.
barbecue competition here. Um, Actually, look out, it's going to change its name soon. So fingers crossed on that
Really?
one. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking over here for a
Have
trophy.
any trophies?
It's over there somewhere.
Oh, it's going to have a new name soon, hopefully. So this last year was the first year that we ran it as a board of volunteers rather than being associated with anybody else. So yeah, we're going to make some changes to it. But the thing is, like the thing I love about it the most is the fact that you don't want to see anybody else fail. Like the barbecue community is one of the nicest communities. We had a team who came in from New Zealand actually, and he had no kit, no gear, and a quick email sent to all the teams, and he got everything donated that he needed. At the actual competition, he didn't have enough coals. Another team gave him some. Another team gave him some. Like, it's not about watching your competitors fail. You want everyone else to do great. You want to do slightly better yourself, obviously, but it's that community, and the same community, that spirit that you guys have in the barbecue community, we have in the butcher community as well. And I think that's what draws me to the barbecue community. I think that's what drew me in the first place. Also, we have a very similar bunch of audience. We have the same crowd who like both things. So yeah, and I think that's what's so special about it. You go away from every barbecue competition probably the same, thinking, I had such a good time. Maybe kicking yourself because you did something that you can maybe work on, but just having a good time and knowing that it was good fun and you did your best, and that's what's important.
So, doing my best to be a cheerleader for you, if I can declare myself as the head cheerleader. This upcoming weekend, I thought as Canadians in the barbecue and the grilling community, chances are we're going to be cooking anyway in late August, doing something through that weekend. Even if we're microwaving a hot dog, we're still cooking something that came from a butcher. But lo and behold, the thing is, I said, and I asked some of my friends, I asked Mel Chimler to help me out from the dark side of the grill, Rob from Prairie Smoke and Spice,
Yep.
Darren from DTE on the BGE, a bunch of my connections. And I said, look, guys, let's do a big shout out to Team Canada. That's what we're planning this weekend. We're trying to it's a social media post. And so I've had some people ask me questions of what this is all about. And it's really quite simple, Elyse. And it's just to have people to post whatever they're doing, take a picture, take a video, make it a story, whatever it is. And just say, go Team Canada. You guys, send you some energy, make you smile, and let you know that there's people all across this country that want to know, let you know that we are here and we're listening, we're watching, and if we're not there watching in the sands, which we're not, we want to know what's going on, and we'd love to hear what the outcome is.
Totally. And I think you can live stream it as well. If anyone's interested in watching it, I feel like if you go to the World Butcher Challenge YouTube page, you will be able to live stream it, or obviously watch it afterwards. How much of our little faces in that big room you'll see, I'm not sure how it's going to work. But Jess Pryles is the official host of the competition. Hardcore Carnivore. She will be there. So yeah, it's definitely one to tune into and check out how we do. So yeah, it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to share the photographs. Like, I can't wait to share the photographs, and we've definitely taken some inspiration from the Canadian barbecue scene, because we know you guys are the ones buying some of the cuts that we've got going on our display. So there's a nod to you guys as well in there. So yeah, we really appreciate people like you just supporting us, and like you can see from our arms, the amount of people who have helped us to get to where we are is unbelievable. And just even people who have just been dropping into the butcher shops and just giving $100 and saying, just whatever I can do, I want to help, I want to support, because it has been a massive undertaking to get us here, and the number of people to thank is so long. We'd get kicked off the Oscars if we tried to give our entire thank you speech, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, a huge thank you, like seriously. And the barbecue community has been awesome to us. Like, we've done some really great fundraisers, and barbecue guys have been giving us money. So yeah, it's really, really good. Thank you.
Us barbecue peeps, we know our butchers.
It's good. You need to know your good butcher.
Exactly.
That's it. We know the tricks.
If you're thinking you can go to get all your meats from the same place that you can get all of your other flour and everything else that you get in aisle after aisle after aisle, yeah, you got better options. Find your local butcher if you're listening in, if you haven't visited your local butcher. And you get to meet people like Elyse right here and the other members of Team Canada across the country and figure out or listen and see what all they're all about and what products they're bringing to you. And I'm going to say this, and as I've traveled across all the country meeting all of you folks, is that the Team Canada is that every one of you is you are champions, you are front and center talking about and sourcing as much as you possibly can within immediate neighborhood, like as close as you possibly can, and those top-notch farmers, because it's you that wants to have those great products that you get to work with, and in turn comes into your case that you, as consumers, you and I get to have and take home. So that's all lovely, and that works.
Yeah, it's just supporting the whole of Canada's meat industry. It's what it's all about. We want to showcase everything that's good from Canada on a world stage.
Elyse, I just want to wish you well. A big cheer. I hope all of our friends chime in on social media this weekend for our pep rally.
Totally. And we will repost everything on the Team Canada page.
How awesome is that?
Please start sending it in, and then we'll do the work on there. And if anyone wants to tag us, please tag us. Yeah.
Look for the hashtags. So if you're finding House of Q or Mel or Rob or all these different folks in Canada, look for those specific hashtags so that you've got everything that everybody knows where they are. And there's a couple that we've defined for that. So make sure you look out for those ones.
Awesome. I might even have to fire my barbecue up myself this weekend. I might be busy packing as well, but other than that, maybe.
Nah, leave the packing.
We have to be very careful with our packing. We're going to make a note so that it says why we have all the things we have in our bags so that we don't get stopped at customs.
Yeah, sure. And put an air tag in there so you can track where your bag is, so.
For sure.
Elyse, thank you very much for chiming in.
I'm
going to end the broadcast, but if you listened in, thank you very much. And go Team Canada at the World Butcher Challenge. Keep your eyes and ears on these guys because I think it's really exciting.
Thank you so much. Thank you.